Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Ordinary Council meeting, Monday, 8th of May 2023. Item 1, meeting opening. 1.1, attendance. Are there any apologies for tonight's meeting, Ms Weatherall?
No, Madam Mayor, no apologies for this evening.
Thank you. Item 1.2, acknowledgement of traditional owners of the land. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and pay respects to their elders past and present. We recognise and respect their continuing connections to climate, culture, country and waters, and we also pay our respect and acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their elders present here today in acknowledging their journey. I would also like to acknowledge and welcome Samdech Priya from Ratanomi, Sem Pin, and his delegation, who are in Australia for a cultural and religious educational value exchange tour, and they are here in the gallery this evening, so welcome. Thank you. Item 1.3, offering of prayer, reflection or affirmation. As part of Council's commitment to recognising the cultural and spiritual diversity of our community, the prayer, reflection or affirmation this evening will be offered by Kailash Korakal from the Hindu community, a member of the Greater Dandenong Interfaith Network. Can I please ask you all to stand?
Om Shantam Padmasanastam Sasidara Makutam Panchavaktram Trinetram Sulam Vajranjagadgam Parasumabayadam Savyabhage Vahantam Nagam Pasanjagandam Pralaya Hudavaham Sangusam Vamavage Nana Alankara Yuktam Spadiga Maninibam Parvadisam Namami Om Pradaragnim Pradarindragum Havamahe Pradarmitra Varuna Pradarasvina Pradarbhagam Bhushanam Brahmanaspatim Pradasoma Mudarudragum Huvema Pradarjidam Bhagamugragum Huvema Vayam Putramatiteryo Vidartaha Ardraschidyam Manyamanas Puraschidraja Chidyam Baham Bhakshidyaha Bhagapranedar Bhagasadyarato Bhagemandiyavudavadadannaha Bhagapranojanaya Gobirasvair Bhagapranruvinruvantasyama Udetanim Bhagavantasyamoda Pravitva Udamadye Annam Udodidam Bhagavan Suryasya Vayan Deva Nagum Sumadau Syama Bhaga Eva Bhagavagum Astu Devastena Vayam Bhagavantasyama Tam Tva Bhaga Sarva Ijjo Havi Misano Bhagapura Eta Bhaveha Samadvarayo Sasona Mandada Digraveva Suchaye Pataya Arvachinam Vasuvidam Bhaganno Radavivasva Vajina Avahanto Asvavatir Gomatirna Ushaso Viravadissadamuttrandu Batraha Grudantu Hana Viswadah Prapina Yuyam Padaswasti Bissadanaha Tatshyam Yora Vranimahe Gatum Yajnaya Gatum Yajnapataye Devi Swastirastunaha Swastirmanushebhyaha Urdvanjigadu Beshajam Sanno Astu Dvipate Sanchatushpate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. On behalf of Hindu Society of Victoria, I pray and bless all the people and all the living beings living in this world to live happily and prosperously. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Item 1.4, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. Happy to move that. Moved by Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso, seconded by Councillor Milkovich. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 1.5, disclosures of interest. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a disclosure of conflict of interest for Councillor Jim Mamedi in relation to agenda item 4.2.2. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Item 2, Officers' Reports, Part 1. Item 2.1, Documents for Tabling. 2.1.1, Petitions and Joint Letters.
Move. Thanks.
Sorry. Pardon me. Excuse me for a moment. Okay. Didn't I do that? Why is it not on there? It's not there. Okay. My apologies. Item 2.1, Documents for Sealing.
Yeah.
Moved by Councillor Truong, seconded by Councillor Tan. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item another 2.1. It should be 2.2. Documents for tabling. 2.2.1, Petitions and Joint Letters. Moved by Councillor Lim, seconded by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 2.2, Statutory Planning Applications. 2.3.1, Town Planning Application number 47 Birdwood Avenue, Dandenong. Planning Application number PLN 22/0528. Moved by Councillor Garrard.
Happy second.
Seconded by Councillor Milkovich. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 3, Question Time Public. Ms Weatherall, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And the first question this evening is from Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park, and it concerns general waste collection. Which of the 32 councils in Melbourne have already moved to fortnightly general waste bin collections? B, are planning to by 2025, and C, have no plans or timeframes to do so? Can I please ask the Director of Business Engineering and Major Projects, Mr Kersley, to respond?
Thank you. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Mr Kerwin, for your question, and through the Mayor I can advise that with regards to question A, discussions with Recycling Victoria have taken place and they're able to confirm that Bayside, Burundara, Glenara, Monash and Nillumbik have already made the change to general waste collection frequencies, moving from weekly to fortnightly. B, Recycling Victoria have also mentioned that the following councils are planning to make the shift by 2025, being Knox, Manningham and Melbourne. C, the majority of the remaining metropolitan councils that have introduced a FOGO service would be at different stages of giving consideration this service delivery change dependent on demographics. On a separate note, we have seen that councils that have made the shift and transition to collection frequencies have seen a significant increase in contamination rates of the FOGO bin. There's also been community issues at numerous points throughout the transition changes. Any change, of course, would need to have a thorough community consultation and education program that would also need to be rolled out, and Council may wish to consider this in the future with regards to, at the time, we take an approach with regards to the glass bin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next question is from Geraldine Quinn of Noble Park. We received a question from Geraldine in relation to council conduct. The question does not comply with our governance rules, and whilst it will not be answered at tonight's meeting, it will be provided to the relevant councillor to respond to. I'd now like to move on to our next question, which is from Elizabeth Grasso of Keysborough, and it concerns grevilleas in Cheltenham Road in Keysborough. What happened to the glorious grevilleas that were adjacent to the Keysborough Elderly Citizens Club, Cheltenham Road, Keysborough? The grevilleas are enjoyed by local wildlife, including birds. I walked by them, or what was left of them, on Friday and was utterly shocked at the destruction of these bushes. I understand they may need to be trimmed, however, why the utter heavy-handedness of these bushes? They were quite beautiful. Can this please be looked into? I'll ask the Director, Business Engineering and Major Projects, Mr Kearsley, to respond.
Thank you. Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, and thank you for the question, Elizabeth. The grevilleas were becoming overgrown and quite woody, and to ensure longevity, structure and amenity of the plants, they were pruned. And although the pruning looks a little severe, we do understand that the grevilleas are hardy plants and will grow back more glorious than before. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The next question is from Aloma Davis of Dandenong and concerns tree protection local laws. Conscious that we are in a climate emergency and that Greater Dandenong in 2020 committed to urgent emergency action in response, many residents, such as myself, are very concerned that the tree protection local law that was recently exhibited was very much weaker than the local laws that Kingston or Frankston have. Trees take carbon dioxide out of our air and also provide shade from the effects of rising temperatures. So we desperately need to protect as many trees in Greater Dandenong as we can instead of rapidly losing tree canopy cover like we are. Will the report that's coming to a council meeting about a decision on the local law contain A, in a similar way to planning scheme amendments and other consultations, a breakdown of how many responses indicated that they supported a local law with changes, separately to the number of responses to the local law without changes, and if not, why not? B, all of the different changes that residents want to the local law, and C, a full officer response to each suggested change, explaining if the change is to be made or not, and if not, what is the reason why? Can I please ask our Director for City Planning, Design and Amenity, Mr Bosman, to respond?
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you. Through yourself to Aloma Davis. The proposed draft tree protection local law primarily seeks to protect significant trees on private property, and that's trees with a diameter of 40 centimetres or more at a height of 1.4 metres above ground, as they are the trees that provide most benefit from an environmental, aesthetic, social and financial perspective to the community. The local law is proposed to be part of a wider program to increase canopy coverage across the municipality. It's not being dealt with in isolation. The proposed local law will be an added tool in the suite of tools to increase tree numbers and tree canopy in the city of Greater Dandenong, including, amongst others, council's annual street tree planting and separate landscaping requirements conditioned on redevelopment of land. The community consultation has now closed, and in answer to the question, the council report containing the breakdown of submissions received and responses thereto will be tabled in June to consider the outcomes and a recommendation on whether or not to proceed with the local law, and if so, whether as drafted or in a modified form. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. I'd just like to acknowledge that Ms Aloma Davis is in the gallery, so thank you for being present, and apologies that was missed. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next question is from Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park and concerns Greater Dandenong Volunteer Resource Centre. Referring to page 169 of the agenda, specifically the report 1.2 Quarter 3, 202 to 23, Council Quarterly Performance Report, Council Plan Action, support initiatives that promote meaningful volunteer opportunities in the community. When the Greater Dandenong Volunteer Resource Centre was first established, there was a council commitment to have promotional material about them in council libraries, service centres and other community facilities. However, I have seen this rarely done. Can this material please be put out in our libraries, service centres and other community facilities? Can I ask Ms Gillies, our Director for Community Strengthening, to respond, please?
Thank you. Ms Gillies, please.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, Mr Kerwin, for your question. The Greater Dandenong Volunteer Resource Service operates 5 days a week, including Wednesday in person at Springvale Community Hub. The service is currently promoted on Council's website, our South East Volunteers website, via social media. The Greater Dandenong Volunteer Resource Service promotional brochure is available at Dandenong and Springvale libraries and local community centres, and the staff do ensure that these are restocked as necessary. We will, though, aim to further broaden the reach to include council customer service centres. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Gillies. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And we have another question from Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park, and this concerns the Greater Dandenong Housing Strategy, 2014 to 24. The Greater Dandenong Housing Strategy ends next year. What are the timeframes for development of the replacement plan, including timeframes for early community consultation to inform the priorities of the strategy? Can I ask the Director, City Planning, Design and Amenity, Mr Bosman, to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you through yourself to Mr Kerwin. As identified in the question, the current housing strategy is due for review in 2024, and as such, council officers will be commencing this review in the 2023-2024 financial year. The full details of this, including timeframes for any community consultation, will be developed next financial year, and once timeframes have been established, this information will be made available through our various media outlets. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next question is from Sylvia Mastro Giovanni of Dandenong, concerning Dandenong Community Hub, and she would like to come up and speak to the item. So if you please would like to come up to the microphone, would be terrific.
Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia.
In relation to my question of the last, when Dandenong Community Hub closes up, the question was referred to the second. That is, co-design session, design concept, using the community concept. The answer I received was about the architect detail is the next step, not why can't the same architect who did the base concept be hired now to complete this concept, saving both money through rework with a brand new art and avoiding waste. Usually, each year there are amounts unspent, and this, given the decision on the 11th, seems prime and logical.
Thank you, Sylvia. Mr Kersley, please.
Thank you, Sylvia, for your question. I understand your point of view, and I do get what you're suggesting. However, what I can advise is that the architect that we used to get to this point is no longer contracted by council. That work finished several months ago. So there is no architect to do the work that you refer to right now. The work that will be done by one contract covering both the aspects that you refer to but also the detailed design. So the next stage, which includes the work you refer to, also includes the preparation and the detailed design plan process. They're not separate processes. They're going to be one process.
So the concept design and then the detailed design. Sorry.
No, the resolution refers to completion of the feedback that the community gave, and it gives us, I believe, until about September, October this year to complete. Once that's done, the detailed design process, which is a very technical documentation-led process, will then take place. Now, one thing we have to check at the moment is that council policy and state government legislation dictates compliance to a procurement process. We're obliged to follow a procurement process. That process requires consideration, and it is not as easy as just reappointing the current architect. We can't just give them the next job. I hope to be in a position to provide you that advice in council in the coming months. However, what I'd like to suggest is that perhaps you and I sit down in the coming weeks and I can take you through exactly what the detailed design process is, including council resolution.
Okay, now I'm still confused because the resolution said about the code design.
She's clarifying.
Concept. How do you
Suggesting
Okay.
to you is that the concept design with the co-design process will be the first job of a new appointed architect.
so we don't have to go through the process?
Sorry, Sylvia.
No. I'm suggesting we don't debate it now. What I'm suggesting is that you and I have a chat, conversation, and I can take you through
Other members of
as many as you want.
Thank you.
Sylvia, can we move on to your second question, please? Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. So there is a complete and transparent council decision standing on. In any council exhibit, including notes relating to the Dandenong. Please be added to Dandenong. Starting from the community needs feasibility study in 2019 and ending with recent 2020.
Thank you, Sylvia. Ms Gillies, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thanks so much for your question. I've spoken to officers today, and we certainly can update over the coming month all of that information. So what we'll do is we'll put milestones, dates. We can link to reports from respective council meetings that has all of the various reports that have come through to council, as well as the public consultations that have taken place. So we shall do that over the coming months.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you, Ms Gillies. I have you down. Sorry, Sylvia. I have you down for two questions.
Oh, I have three. Two fitted on the one page.
Oh, there is another one.
And then the third one.
There's another one on number 4.
Okay. Okay. And can I ask you to maybe speak into the microphone? If someone can adjust that for you, that'd be great. I don't think it's on.
It's not on?
There we go. That's
It's on
better. It is now. Thank you,
Oh,
Sylvia.
dear, what
So,
a pity.
yes, you can move on to your third
thanks.
question.
Thank you. Following on from my...
Apologies for those of you listening online.
Thank you. Do you reckon it's okay now, or is it going to fall apart? Should be. Thank you. All right, here we go again. Following on from my question at the last council meeting, it's good that information regarding previous councillors is going to be added to the interactive displays in Dandenong and Springvale. However, when is that expected to occur? It seems that it would be an easy exercise because I assume it's just adding information on past councillors that is already on the council website. I'm wondering if that's right.
Thank you, Sylvia. I'll put that question to Ms Sprague, please.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Thanks for the question, Sylvia, and
You're
following
welcome.
up on that one.
Thank you.
The project is underway, but it will take us a few weeks to complete, as there's a little bit more work involved than just taking what's on the website.
Oh, okay.
So we do have a list of all the previous councillors. We need to add a new section to the touch screens and have it styled the same way that the other information's on those screens. And then we need to collate all the photographs and the information so that they're in the right format for uploading. So that certainly has commenced and we'll continue, hopefully finish it within about the month.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Bragg. Thank you, Sylvia. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next question is from Valerie Raperti of Dandenong, and it concerns Dandenong Community Hub. I listened to the answer at last council meeting regarding children's services at Dandenong Community Hub, with the current base designed to what is catered for. With 4 rooms that can be partitioned, one would think the current base design can already cater for 3 and 4-year-old kindergarten services. Can I please ask Ms Gillies to respond?
Thank you. Ms Gillies, please.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. So the concept option number 2 provides for early years rooms capable of providing services to 120 places or 120 children, be it 3 and or 4-year kindergarten and childcare. As I mentioned last week, we're currently working with state government to determine the current and future need in terms of the approved number of places. While we can cater for up to 120 places in the current design, the final number of places will be determined based on this needs analysis. This process is standard in relation to any new early years service and is being undertaken through the Victorian Government Kinder Infrastructure Plan.
Thank you, Ms Gillies. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And we have another question from Valerie Raperti of Dandenong. And the next one concerns Mills Reserve Master Plan. Dandenong Wellbeing Centre. Tonight's agenda on the Dandenong Wellbeing Centre contains a reference to a Mills Reserve Master Plan consultation that never happened. Sure, there was a Dandenong Wellbeing Centre consultation at the end of 2021, but no master plan for the whole site was exhibited for public feedback comment as part of that. A, why did consultation on the Mills Reserve Master Plan not occur? And B, why has this not been made publicly available on the website? Can I ask Mr Kersley to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Kersley, please.
Thank you for the question, and through you, Madam Mayor, I can advise that consultation regarding aspects of the Mills Reserve Master Plan was incorporated into the proposed DWC design consultation in round 1 that was undertaken from July to August 2021. This involved public messaging about the chosen site for the DWC, replacement of the Mills Pavilion for hockey, and plans for a second synthetic pitch. The identification of locations for these key facilities represented stage 1 of the master plan and essentially were used to determine the particular location of the new facility and immediate surrounding lands, including the pavilion and car park. Stage 2 involves the full development of a more detailed master plan for the entire site, which is planned to be placed on public exhibition later this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kersley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next question is from Dean Hurlston of Malvern East, and it concerns councillor attendance information. Could council please provide an attendance list by councillor name for the last 12 months of public council meetings, confirming who attended and who did not attend each council meeting? Can I ask our Manager Governance, Ms Roberts, to respond?
Ms Roberts, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr Hurlston, for the question. I can advise you the details of council attendances at all councillor briefing sessions and council meetings for the past financial year and the current financial year are currently on our website under council law accountabilities.
Thank you, Ms Roberts. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you. Our next question is from Tina Kongs of Dandenong, concerns Capital Alliance Master Plan. Question 1, following on from my question at the last meeting regarding the Capital Alliance Master Plan, what was Development Victoria's response regarding publicly releasing the information as to what changed and what didn't change, and why regarding the public consultation on the Capital Alliance Master Plan last year? And the second part of her question is in regards to Greater Dandenong Council's review of the Capital Alliance Master Plan. What are the timeframes, and will the council review of the master plan be made public? And if not, why not? Can I ask Mr Kersley to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Kersley, please.
Thank you for the question. With regards to number 1, I can advise that Development Victoria have advised us that they will liaise with Capital Alliance to see whether a copy of the Kapia engagement report can be made available via their website. We are still awaiting further advice in this regard and will follow up in the next few weeks. With regards to Council 2, Council's comments prepared in response to the Master Plan engagement phase that was undertaken last year will be uploaded onto our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next question is from Philip Lamaro of Dandenong, and he wants an update on Vanity Lane. Does Council have an update on Vanity Lane? 1, when will this be started? 2, what's the completion date? 3, due to funding issues, does Council have all funding to complete this? And 4, why is there no signage on site to show the plan and ETA? Can I please ask Mr Kearsley to respond?
Mr Kearsley, please.
Thank you, Mr Lamara, for the question. Unfortunately, this is a project that has again been delayed. The start date for demolition for the fire damaged building over the proposed site of Vanity Lane is still uncertain. Negotiations are continuing with the immediate neighbours to demonstrate what measure will be put in place to protect their buildings from damage during the works. And this is a requirement under the Building Act. There is funding available to undertake the demolition and the laneway works on the site once the demolition has taken place. Unspent funds from this financial year can be carried forward to the next year to ensure that we can complete this project. Signage for this project is being held off until a firm date has been negotiated with regards to the commencement of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next question is from Maria Sampi of Dandenong North, and it concerns older people and social connection survey. Recently, I rang the council on a matter, and during the discussion I found out that the Community Services Department is conducting an older people and social connection survey to be done online. As President of the Multicultural Club meeting at the Jan Wilson Centre, I was not aware of the survey being undertaken, and so I'm wondering whether other elderly clubs in our city are aware of council wanting feedback, as a lot of the people are elderly and some are not computer literate to surf the council web to find out what's going on. Why weren't paper copies distributed to the community centres where the elderly meet and an officer of the council goes and explains what's required with regard to be in the survey? Can I ask Ms Gillies to respond, please?
Thank you. Ms Gillies, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms Sampi, for your question. The survey commenced in February this year and is open until the 31st of May. We deliberately provided a significant period of time for responses. Members of the Council's Positive Ageing team have spoken to many seniors clubs and groups so far to gather their responses either online or on paper, and this option remains open to any community group or club, seniors group or club, that would like to take up this option. In recognition that some older people do not access the internet, the survey has been promoted through Council's Living Well Positive Ageing quarterly newsletter, which is available at various council locations or alternatively sent through email. Additionally, the survey has been promoted through various council programs, including the libraries, community transport programs, the Positive Ageing Advisory Committee, as well as through other community networks. The survey can be completed online or by calling the Positive Ageing team, who can complete over the phone or can send out a hard copy for completion. The survey's had a great response so far, and I'd just like to say thank you to those members of the community that have participated to date.
Thank you, Ms Gillies. Ms Weatherall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have another question from Maria Sampi of Dandenong North concerning Council's leave of absence. In tonight's agenda, number 4.2.3, leave of absence. Why aren't dates supplied anymore when councillors take leave of absence? Dates were always supplied. I mentioned in previous years that I was on council. And, Madam Mayor, I'll provide the response. The dates for the leave of absence have been provided on page 270 of tonight's agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, so Madam Mayor, another question from Maria Sampi of Dandenong North. With some of the businesses in Springvale, council rules are that they need to have a disability access, either wheelchair or by lift due to stairs being involved. Also, a disability toilet installed. I'm aware that council owns a few buildings in Springvale that are being leased to businesses, and as the landlord, council does not provide a lift for disability access or wheelchair access as there are stairs to climb to the first floor. Who should pay for this to be installed, landlord or tenant? Can I ask Mr Bosman to respond, please?
Thank you. Mr Bosman, please.
Madam Mayor, thank you. Through yourself to Ms Sampi. There are no council rules for upgrading buildings with disability access. According to the Building Act, owners are not obliged to modernise their buildings to meet the current Disability Discrimination Act or DDA standards. However, if any construction work is proposed for a building that requires a building permit and affects DDA requirements, then any impacted section of the building must be brought into line with the DDA provisions. The appointed building surveyor for the building permit holds the authority to exempt the property owner from these obligations, and any works conducted on the buildings by the tenants would involve the landlord's consent. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Bosman. Ms Weatherall.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. And our last three questions are from Zoran Makarovsky of Springvale in relation to a planning compliance matter. The questions do not comply with our governance rules, and whilst they will not be answered at tonight's meeting, they will be provided to the relevant unit to respond to. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Weatherall. Item 4, Officers' Reports, Part 2, 4.1, Policy and Strategy, 4.1.1, Review of Council Policies, Policies for Abolition. Moved by Councillor Garrard, seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.1.2, Third Quarter 2022 to 2023 Council Quarterly Performance Report. Moved by Councillor Tan, seconded by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.2 Other. 4.2.1 Springvale Community Hub Committee Membership Endorsement. Moved by Councillor O'Reilly, seconded by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Yes, Councillor Garrard, you have a comment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to point out the calibre of the members that have signed up and so generously signed up to this committee and are giving of their time to make an important contribution. I'd just like to name them because I think their contribution is going to be so significant. I'd like to thank Gay Guest, Elena Sheldon, Vin Hong Long, Louisa Willoughby, Zoe Mole, Matthew Kerwin and Sylvia Masciani, who has just left the chamber. But I think we have a richness of talent and we're very grateful to those people for giving of their time.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Councillor O'Reilly, did you... no? Okay, I thought I saw your hand up. Apologies. Item 4.2.2. Reappointment of Director Dandenong Market Proprietary Limited, DMPL.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to declare in accordance with Section 127, 129 of the Local Government Act 2020 that the type of interest that has given rise to this conflict is a direct material conflict of interest of a pecuniary nature. Further, I declare that the nature of my interest is described as the following. I am a director of a company that operates a stall at the Dandenong Market.
Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. We'll wait for Councillor Mehmeti to leave the chambers. So 4.2.2, reappointment of Director Dandenong Market Proprietary Limited, DMPL, moved by Councillor Long, seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried, and can we please bring in Councillor Mehmeti back into the chambers? Item 4.2.3, leaves of absence, Councillors Jim Mehmeti and Angela Long. Councillor Long.
I'd like to make an amendment to my dates on my leave of absence. From the 27th of June, I'd like that to be the 10th of July, and returning on the 8th of September instead of the 31st of August.
Thank you. Thank you,
And I'll
Councillor.
move it as well.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Long. Moved by Councillor Long, seconded by Councillor Truong. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.2.4, Cultural Heritage Advisory Committee Membership Endorsement. Moved by Councillor Tan. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Long. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.2.5, change to council meeting schedule in June 2023. Moved by Councillor Tan.
Happy to second.
Seconded by Councillor Milkovich. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.2.6, draft minutes of Multicultural and People Seeking Asylum Advisory Committee meeting 23rd of March 2023. Moved by Councillor Garrard, seconded by Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.2.7, Dandenong Wellbeing Centre. Moved by Councillor Dark, seconded by Councillor Long. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, so Councillor Garrard abstaining on this item. But as there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Councillor Dark.
Thank you. May I speak to the item quickly? Thanks to my colleagues for supporting the matter and the item that has come up. The Dandenong Wellbeing Centre, for those who are not across the details, one of the biggest infrastructure projects this council has embarked on, certainly in my time on council. To get to the point now where we are future planning, working within the long-term financial plan to make sure that infrastructures and facilities for our residents being the best that they possibly can be and can be funded is paramount, particularly given that we are the gatekeepers of the ratepayers' dollar. And that is why I'm very excited to see where this goes. Now going and putting into the financial plan, hopefully soon we'll start to see where some information is coming from, some figures and some tenders, and then get the ball rolling to get this facility built. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think this item is extremely important to note, as it is, I believe, the largest project that this council has embarked upon since probably the revitalisation of Dandenong, which was in conjunction with the Victorian government. But I think council's followed a stringent and consultative process. I know myself as a regular user of Dandenong Oasis that there are some things that will be much improved, but there are some elements of Dandenong Oasis that we want to keep. I think that overall the community will embrace it and will see utilisation lift markedly. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Councillor Long.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic project, which is well overdue. Also, what everyone is thinking, it's only the pool. There is a hockey and soccer team going to get advantages out of this too. Their old building will be demolished, which is the Murray Jarvis building, and some of their fields have to be relayed. So that's all included in the price. So there's swimming, hockey and also soccer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Item 4.2.8, list of registered correspondence to Mayor and Councillors.
Happy to move that.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Councillor Formoso, seconded by Councillor Trung. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. Item 4.2.9, iCook Foods Proprietary Limited claim against Council confidential report under Section 3(1)(e) of the Local Government Act 2020. There's a recommendation that that this be moved, the standing order be altered to move this item to be the last item heard in the agenda after urgent business. Do I have a mover for this? Moved by Councillor Garrard.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Tan. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried, and we'll move to that item after. And this item will be heard in camera as it is a confidential item. Item 5, notices of motion. As there are no notices of motion, we'll move to item 6. Reports from councillors, delegated members and councillor questions. Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Milkovich. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. May I keep my questions brief this evening? The first question I have, there was an incident that occurred with the Keysborough Football Club playing down at Sky in the city of Frankston a couple of weeks ago, and it was reported in the media, to which a player who actually went to school with was injured in a collision at the three-quarter time. Subsequently, he was unconscious on the ground and then entered cardiac arrest, where they had to shock him with the defib. There were some issues with the Sky Football Club ground, which the Southern Football Netball League is investigating, along with a lot of the other clubs as well. The two biggest issues were that the defib that was provided the club was not functioning at the time, didn't have a battery that was adequately working, and the second as well was that there was a padlock on the gate that stopped vehicle movements being able to get back in and out. And I know this is an issue that has been raised in the media by Jonty Ralph-Smith from the Dandenong Journal. My question to the relevant officer, have we looked at undertaking an audit of our council facilities, one, to make sure that all defibs that are in our council-owned facilities are serviced regularly, how we service them, and two, if there are any padlocks and access points prohibiting access to the ground, that clubs and people using it are provided with information on where the key is stored to access a lock. So heaven forbid, if something does occur in this municipality, that we do have the right systems and the right facilities to make sure things can be accessed in a timely manner.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dark. Yep, okay, Ms Weatherall.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Look, certainly I think that's a very good point that you raised, Councillor, so we'll have a look at that and report back to Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dark, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, my next question has come from one of the traders at the Dandenong Market, and I understand this is a separate company as well, certainly within the parameters DNPL Proprietary Limited. Late towards the end of last year, there was a significant flood in the meat, fish and deli section, which led to a lot of shops being damaged with a substantial amount of water. I spoke to several traders there on the weekend who said that the water, apparently I believe it came up from the sewerage system, did have a smell of rotting fish. It has caused a lot of damage to quite several traders within the area. Some have had some work undertaken, but there's still some who are suffering from a significant amount of damage to their store that hasn't been remedied, and other issues around that. And originally I'd said the best person to speak to was DNPL. However, then for some reason, I'm not entirely sure how, through Council's risk and insurance officer, through one of the directors within Council, had actually reached out and contacted saying, no, that we are actually responsible for that. I just want to find out, one, if we've instigated an insurance claim, and two, what is going on with the shop traders whose shops are substantially affected even to this day with swelling timber.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Ms Weatherall.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that's the first time I've been made aware of that query. I'll take it on notice and report back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. My final question, or probably more of a statement, was we actually have one of the most exciting parts of our history that happened on the weekend with the coronation of His Majesty King Charles III. And to the groans of my council colleagues, who clearly are sitting in the Republican camp, this is a massive, massive, massive part of history. We are here by definition of the Local Government Act, which is passed by assent of the Governor of Victoria on behalf of His Majesty the King. So that is why we are here tonight. But it was very, very, very exciting. I know for a lot of residents nearby, a lot of people were out attending and celebrating. And for those who are monarchists such as myself, it was a fantastic night. So that is all I've got for this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Councillor Mehmeti.
Thank you, Mayor. It was lovely to have our 2020 to 2023 Australian Day Award winners. We held a civic reception for them last week, and it was great to have them in this room and to come together after COVID. We weren't able to do it in 2020, 2021, 2022, so we all came together, and it was a lovely evening, and everybody enjoyed each other's company. I also attended the 10th anniversary of the Wallawa Bungalow Sri Lankan reception restaurant in Noble Park on Princess Highway, who serve some really delicious Sri Lankan food. So if you haven't been down there, I urge you. They've been there for 10 years and they're really always packed out. I also attended a concert, Najina and Medina from Tajikistan, who our Afghan community and our Tajik community held this concert, and I really couldn't understand, but the music was lovely and the performers were excellent. So it was really good to go to that concert, and I understand there's more and more of those concerts happening. There's another one on the 13th on Saturday at the Drum Theatre, so it's really good to get all these culturally diverse concerts happening in Dandenong. Mayor, I also, if people aren't aware, one of Dandenong's own product, who is with the Melbourne City Academy, who played his first NPL 2 game. He's only 15 years old, so he was putting with men who were older than 18, and he came on for his first game and debuted on the 55th minute mark. His team was losing 2-0, and he ended up scoring a hat-trick. And this kid is very close to me. He's actually my nephew, so I congratulate him, and I'm sure you'll probably see him in the local papers, and probably he'll definitely become a superstar, and I wish him well, and his name is Medin Mehmeti. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. I'm sure we won't be able to forget that name. Councillor Lim, please.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to pay my respect to my venerable two Maramo that come all the way from, one from Cambodia, one from Wat Budang Say. Just my tradition, I have to pay my respect all the time. That's my culture. First of all, I just would like to pay the respect of Preh Maha Watalama Dama Pinsam Siri Suvarno. He's the second level of the Royal Order and Songha Governing, Supreme Advisor of both of Songha Committee, Songha House. And also, he's also the head of the Rajabo Buddhist Monastery. And secondly, I just would like to pay my respect to Venerable Nun Sutep. He's the head of the Wat Budang Say, Melbourne, Clark Road. And thank you for both of you and plus his followers that come to join our council meeting. I'd just like to say a few words in Cambodian. Karna Som Thwai Bongkum Pre Ong Tang Pi Ong, Chi Piseh, Lok Pre Richia, Kana Tato, Kana Mahamnikai, Chi Odom Saksa, Kana Song Khan Yuk Nang Chia Samaj. สมาชิกเทระสภาในพระพุทธศาสนาในประเทศจากกัมพูชีនិងព្រះលេគុណនុនសទេពដែលជាចៅអធិការវត្តពុរាំងសី Thank you for that. Just for the last fortnight, I sort of on Tuesday, I attend on 25th of April, Tuesday at 9 a.m. I attended Vietnamese Veteran Anzac Day service. At 10:15, I attended Dandenong RSL Day service, and also by 12 noon, I attended Greek Orthodox Church Easter celebration, plus providing health seminar for all the members of the club as well. On Thursday, the 28th of April 23rd, I had a meeting with our councillor, Jimmy Mehdi, and also member of VMA just to help them how to proceed their project. On Saturday, the 29th of April, I attended Afghanistan New Year celebration at Springvale Town Hall. And on Wednesday, the 3rd of March, I attended Business Forum in Melbourne with Honourable Claire O'Neill, Minister of Home Affairs and Cyber Security. I'm representing Pharmaceutical of Australia regarding 60-day dispensing, and also with many other representatives from so many organizations and sector. And not just that, I have one issue that I raised to our minister about how to organize safety forum, because cyber security forum for our city, because our city is diverse community. They very poor in IT, and secondly, they have a very difficult in languages and also language barrier as well. And very positive, she wanted me to ask our council officer, but I mentioned to our CEO straight away last Thursday. She jot down and she's going to write letter to Minister Claire O'Neill, going to organize our what we call safety forum regarding cyber security. And not just that, not just our city as a template, as a role model. I asked her to reply right across the country as well, not just our city of Greater North. And if she can, she had to organize each ward as well to train our residents to understand about how serious cyber attack is. And also on Thursday, on 5:30 in the afternoon, I have an interview with SBS National Radio regarding to walking for molested children, and also my health seminar. As usual, I hardly mention every Wednesday night I have to provide health seminar to my people around the world, around about 162,000 followers, from 8:30 to about 11:30 to 12:30. On Thursday, 4th of May, I attended All Australia Day Award winner from 2020 to 2023 at our Civic Centre. All day on Saturday, the 6th of May, I spent all day to attend multicultural Red Shield appeal that I'm one of the founder last year. The idea of organize that is just at least multicultural community have something to organize, to raise funds, to help the poor people like flood or bushfire or any other disaster. And also we raised a lot of money on that day just for a sponsor of one of them, or me, we raised 32,000, and plus so many people donated on that day. I haven't got the tally yet. And on Sunday, Sunday all day with our Deputy Mayor and myself and Councillor Lloyd, we spent all day as well to organize what we call Walk for Molested Children. That's the Walk for Molested Children supporting GET Lab, which help children ability to walk after injury and illness. This morning I had another chance, long talk with the CEO of Mental Health of Australia, the CEO of Mental Health Australia, regarding to how to form another committee that, but myself in that Mental Health Foundation. It means that we're going to call that organization called Medical Advisory Board, that going to have 2 doctors, 2 psychiatrists, 2 psychologists, 2 pharmacists, 2 nurses, etc., etc. The idea is just to provide a very clear advice to our people that have mental health. And not just that, we're going to order so many charity to raise funds for and to provide more sessions to different community. I'm going to be one, I want to be involved with that one. And for my question is only one question that I want to ask for. For me, on behalf of Hepatitis of Victoria, they asked me to ask our council, if possible, to organize a health seminar for our council officer or our councillor or our council staff regarding to hepatitis B, hepatitis C, fatty liver, and hepatitis due to alcohol. I love to be part of it because I've been helping them for the last many months, especially to have 2 professional people like recently Sri Lankan professional group. But I have to be part of it because the 2 representatives from hepatitis of Victoria. A lot of questions they can't answer, therefore I have to be part of it. Please, for probably this question, probably for our our director, Peter Gilly, regarding to this sort of seminar. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Lim. Ms Gillies, please.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, certainly we can have a look at. I mentioned earlier there might be an opportunity for us to link into some of the existing health seminars that we do for our staff and potentially expand that to councillors as well, should they be interested.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms Gillies.
Thank you for me, Mayor. Thanks.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Formoso.
Thank you, Mayor. I too will try and be as brief as I can. One of the most important events and one that I feel privileged to attend in a city that I was born and raised in, the Pillars of Freedom for both the dawn service and day service, was at the Anzac Day memorial service. Really great to see a majority of the councillors there as well. One of the other events that I attended was the official launch of Heritage Kindergarten outdoor play area, which was incredible to see. Council did an incredible job with Heritage to create a beautiful space for the children outside, and I highly recommend that people have a look at this space, and anyone that's planning on doing such a space at a kindergarten to come and have a look to see what the ideal play area looks like for young children. So that was great. Also had the privilege of attending the Lindale Greens Primary School with you last week to present them with the Get Active, Get Moving trophy for being the most active school in our municipality. So they were one of the ones that participated and were successful in having the most amount of students being active throughout the month. And I just would really encourage any of the schools in the future to attend this, to participate in this event, because it's obviously a really important initiative for our young people in particular to get them active and get them moving, obviously. So I highly encourage that we do a lot more to promote that in the future. Also wanted to mention, as my fellow councillor Richard Lim mentioned, we participated in the Monash Children's Hospital Walk yesterday under the Team Lucasade banner once again, as we will do for the rest of our lives, and we raised over $6,000 and also had over 60 participants walking on the day. So thank you to Councillor Loitrung and again Councillor Richard Lim for attending. Really great day. The sun was out considering how it started. So the event was very, very successful, and I don't know the final figures, but I will find out and then pass that on to Council. Really, really important hospital that services a lot of people from our municipality. And I just have a few questions. I've had a couple of parents contact me regarding the Lindale Secondary School drop-off zone. We did have some works that have just completed in that area, and I don't think that all of the signage has been finalised. So if we could just get some council officers to come, because a lot of parents are getting fines in areas that they could originally park very quickly to do drop-offs, and now they can't. So if the appropriate officer could please respond in terms of getting this area assessed so that we could have the appropriate signage for parents, please.
Mr Keasley, I might throw that one to you, please.
That's fine. I'll liaise with Mr Bosman's area with regards to appropriate signage, having undertaken some works there, and we can certainly send some officers up to have a look, and if there are any signs missing, we'll get them reinstalled.
Okay, thank you, Mr Keasley. Deputy Mayor Formoso.
Thanks, Mr Keasley. Speaking of kindergartens, I've had one of the teachers from Ingrid Street Kindergarten contact me regarding some of the safety concerns that they have with this location. I have contacted Vic Pol about this and flagged it with them so that hopefully they will patrol this area. But I was wondering if we as a council could look at putting one of our mobile cameras in this area just to alleviate some of these safety concerns that the teachers, parents and children attending this kindergarten are having of late. And to be honest, this little pocket area is also notorious for the dumped rubbish right next to Greaves Reserve, the swimming pool and Heatherton Road. So there is quite a bit of issues in that space. So I think a mobile camera would be appropriate there.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Formoso. Mr Kearsley?
Thank you again with Mr Bosman's team, who we share the use of the CCTV in terms of issues. We can certainly add it to the list. Councillor, if I could just ask for particular details of the site and location, we can take that matter up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Deputy Mayor Formoso.
Thank you, Mr Kearsley. Will do. And again, a kindergarten inquiry. Some people have asked if we can, if we're able to provide some small Australian, Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander flags for some of the kindergartens to have not only inside the kindergarten but also at the entrance. So I'm not sure who to ask in our department regarding that, but if somebody could please assist me with that matter, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Ms Roberts, please.
Thank you, Councillor Formoso, for that question. We'll see what we can do.
Thank you, Ms Roberts.
Great,
Deputy-
thanks. That's all from me. Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you. Councillor Long, please.
These are some of the events that I've attended since my last formal meeting. 25th of April, Anzac Day. I attended 3 Anzac ceremonies, the dawn service at 6 a.m, the Vietnamese service at 9 a.m, and the normal service at 11 a.m. 29th of April, I attended the Dandenong Cricket presentation night at the Dandenong Club. 2nd of May, I attended the DMPL meeting at the Dandenong Civic Centre. 4th of May, I attended the civic reception to celebrate all Australia Day award winners for the last 4 years. The 5th of May, I attended the soccer match between Dandenong City and the Bulleen Lions. Dandenong City won 3-0. I'd like to wish all mothers a happy Mother's Day for next Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll table my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Councillor Garrard.
Madam Mayor, we live in unprecedented times. For the first time ever, I'm not making a speech tonight, and I will table my questions in the interest of time.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Councillor Trong.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. On Anzac Day, I attend this dawn service and with other councillors like Angela Long and me as well. Then attend the Vietnamese Anzac Day services at the 9 to 10. Then after that, I attended noon. At noon, I attended the Anzac Day service organized by Frankton and Dandenong RSL branch. On last Sunday night, I attended the Burden Park Bowling Club AGM. And on the last Sunday, I joined with Councillor Richard Lim on the Lim Pharmacy Group to donate and also participate match with for the Monash Children's Hospital fundraising at Jail Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trong. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing to mention. I attended many events. One thing I did do was drop into the Australian Multicultural Media Centre, which is a grassroots local media organisation located at Dandenong Hub. They're really good. They're training young leaders from a whole lot of different cultures, including Sudan and Iraq, and really been speaking with council officers on how we can potentially support them more. I think they've interviewed Councillor Jim Mamedi and yourself, and they're looking to interview Councillor Richard Lim as well. But they're getting out and about, they're reporting on local events and local issues, and I really offer them. I think council should do everything it can to encourage the Australian Multicultural Media Centre led by a man called Hussein. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. And for the interest of time, I will also table my report for this evening. And Ms Weatherall, do we have any councillor questions taken on notice from last meeting?
Yes, we do, Madam Mayor, and they've all been responded to.
Thank you. Item 7, urgent business. I believe we have urgent business this evening in relation to the Municipal Association of Victoria State Council meeting. Motion 1, that an item of urgent business be heard in relation to the appointment of a council delegate to attend the Municipal Association of Victoria State Council meeting on 19th May 2023. And motion moved by Councillor Garrard.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Tan. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? So there's no opposition. I declare this motion carried. Motion 2, that Council appoints Councillor Garrard to be Greater Dandenong City Council substitute delegate attending the Municipal Association of Victoria State Council meeting on 19th May 2023 only. Moved by Councillor Tan, seconded by Councillor Trung. Are there any questions, councillors? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, I declare this item carried. As we will now be moving into camera, I do ask for the gallery to leave. Thank you for being here this evening and wish you a good night. And I do ask for, our council officers to also please leave the chambers.
reopen the meeting and close the meeting?
Yeah.
So we've reopened the meeting and we will now close the meeting at 8:58 p.m. Thank you everyone and good night.